Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for Pretty Little Liars, Season 5, Episode 17, The Bin of Sin. And this episode was amazing. I love this episode. By far, probably the second best episode of the season. It wasn't the best episode of the season. The best episode of the season still is the season finale. I thought this episode was fantastic. Really was, really, they're upping the craziness as it more and more and more as it goes on, and I really do love that. And I think this episode was probably the craziest we've had since the finale. I absolutely really love this episode. It wasn't as crazy as like Free Fall, but I still really enjoyed it. And let's just get into it. So we start with Hanna, Spencer, and Caleb telling Aria and Emily their fears that Mona's body was hidden in the barrel found in the storage unit that was apparently rented in Hannah's name. And they suspected that A was framing her, and she panicked that she had no alibi. And Caleb vowed to get Hannah's name off the lease because, Hannah's pretty much freaking out because she thinks that Allie framed her and everything. And Caleb vowed to basically, Spencer suggested they lead Detective Tanner to the unit to reveal Holbrooke was hiding Mona's body, but Hanna worried it would still all ended up pinned on her. Now, they're kind of upset at Hanna because she did not tell them about her and her talking to Allie. She only told Aria about it, and they're upset about that she only told Aria. They wish that she should have, that she would have told all of them. So they're pretty upset at her with that, but basically they're doing whatever they can to make sure it's not pinned on her. So meanwhile at the brew, Emily is dismayed to see Talia has baked Ezra a pie, but the caterer insists it was just a thank you for hiring me, not a marriage proposal. And it came out that Emily is into girls, and she warned her coworker to back off. And this episode really made me feel Talia has feelings for Emily. I definitely feel that she does, and she's not coming clean to her. I definitely feel like Talia is hiding it because she doesn't want to admit it, because she knows that Emily doesn't like her back, so she doesn't want to admit that she is a lesbian, but I definitely feel like Talia is. So, meanwhile, Aria is ready to come clean to Ezra about the college essay she wrote dissing their relationship. And at the same time, Hanna and her mom, Ashley, once again are fighting over her dalliance with Jason, which she refused to tell Ted about, blaming her rejection of his proposal on his fear of marrying again. She feels like Ted should not know about it. She just doesn't want to tell Ted, and I think that Hanna is right. She should tell Ted about it. She should be honest with him. Because, she turned down his marriage proposal for a reason. She should be honest with him and just tell him why she doesn't want to go through with it. So Spencer goes to see Toby at the precinct, and he was infuriated that she came to talk to him about something he explicitly told her to stay out of, because he told her, stay out of this whole thing, stay out of Hannah's investigation, but she's not staying out because she wants to protect Hanna. So Detective Tanner is suspicious to see her, and after she left, Toby told his boss that he believed that Allie's polygraph was falsified. He doesn't feel that it's real, and I like that they're starting to realize that, hey, Allie's not really the one that did this here. So he pointed out the finger at Holbrooke, and he was warned to be careful, not make false accusations you can't back up. And I like that line, but at the same time, we have not seen Holbrooke for a very long time. And, the last time we saw Holbrooke was 2 episodes ago. And I definitely feel like Holbrooke, there's something going on between Allie and Holbrooke. Obviously, he's mad at her. Honestly, it really would make sense if it is Holbrooke, because here's the thing. He's mad at her. He clearly thought, he's clearly kind of mad at her. He's clearly not happy with her. So maybe he just pinned it on her because, revenge or something. There's clearly something going on with them. We don't know what it is, but I definitely feel like it could be Holbrooke. And I don't know, but I definitely feel like Holbrooke could have framed her. Do I think Holbrooke's A? I don't know about that, but I definitely feel like Holbrooke could have framed Allie. At this point, I feel like someone separate framed Allie, and then someone is A. I feel that way. I feel like A is a group of people. So, Aria is at first only told Ezra that she got into Talmadge, but she then revealed that she scored admission by writing a negative essay that Jackie would read, and she gave him the paper, and he swore he wasn't angry, and even called it a brilliant move, and he insisted that all was well because he knew her true feelings, but Aria was still apologetic, and he seemed to be bothered that he was letting on. And I was surprised that Ezra was upset about it. Ezra seemed to be genuinely upset. He seemed to think that Aria genuinely had these feelings, even though, she just wrote these feelings because that's exactly what Jackie wanted to hear. That's all she did. She just told Jackie what she wanted to hear, but Ezra doesn't seem to realize that. And I thought that was kind of interesting that he didn't really understand that. So Caleb successfully managed to get Hanna's name off the storage unit lease, but she wanted to do more than just that. She wanted to go to the facility to remove all the belongings, including the barrel. And Caleb tried to object, but because of course the barrel is in Hanna's storage unit, so obviously that's very, very dangerous for Hanna, and it makes people very suspicious. So obviously they're doing something illegal right now. This is illegal what they're doing because they're told do not get involved, and I like that they're kind of going behind the police's back. Making Toby part of the police force, I think is actually a very good twist because it's made things a lot more interesting because now they're going against police's wishes and detectives' wishes, which I like seeing. Which I don't really think we've seen them do before. I don't think we've seen them really get in trouble with the law, except for season 1 when they were all framed for that thing that they didn't do. I don't even remember what it was, but I think it's really the only time we really saw them have problems with the law. So Caleb successfully managed. So basically, what happens after that is that Caleb tried to object, but Hanna insisted that she could spend the rest of her life in an orange jumpsuit, and she was resolved to burn whatever evidence she could and put the barrel in the woods for the police to find. And Ashley attempted to quit working for Jason, and he was caught off guard when she revealed she was seriously seeing someone who just proposed, and that's like the ultimate diss ever. I'm sorry, but that is the ultimate diss ever. She could have said that to him in a much nicer way, but I mean, I feel so bad for Jason because I don't think there can be a worse diss than, oh, I have someone else and he kind of proposed to me. I don't think there's a worse diss than that, and I feel so bad for Jason because he just got like the worst diss ever. That literally was probably the worst diss he could have gotten, and you gotta feel bad for the guy because of that. So he reluctantly accepted a resignation, but seemed a bit crushed. Obviously, he's a bit crushed. They later have a run-in at the office as Ashley was connecting her belongings, and he called her out for not wearing her engagement ring, and she explained that she hadn't said yes to him yet. And I like that she was honest with him about that. And in part due to the responsibilities that came with marrying a pastor, Ashley hinted that she's made some poor choices and didn't want his career jeopardized. And that makes sense. I mean, I think I can understand that if that is true. And Jason wondered if she slept with him as self-sabotage, though she insisted that wasn't the case. I think that she did it because she doesn't want to be with Ted because she doesn't feel she deserves it. I feel like that's really what it is, that she did not feel she deserved to be with Ted because she's done so many bad things in her life. She hasn't been someone who should be with a pastor, and I like seeing that. I thought that was well done. So at the same time, Gabe and Hanna were at the storage facility where he cut the wires to the surveillance cams before they broke into the unit, and Aria is sharing her relief over the Ezra situation to Emily. Spencer showed up saying that her GPS showed Mona's laptop was on the move, and they panicked that Hanna had taken the situation into her own hands. And when Hanna and Caleb entered, they were shocked to see the unit entirely emptied out except for the barrel, and Hanna was too scared to open it, saying it's bad enough that she's gone, but if she went like this, Caleb understood, but was nonetheless determined to get the barrel out of there, because obviously that's not good if this unit entirely, emptied out, all that's there is just the barrels. That's obviously not a good thing, because again, it makes them very suspicious, so they're doing whatever they can to get rid of the barrel. And this is when the episode just got amazing. This episode, it just got amazing here. Spencer, Aria, and Emily, meanwhile, followed the GPS to an old ice cream factory, believing Hanna and Caleb had taken the findings there. And, of course, we didn't know if they hadn't. And that was probably another, they weren't sure if they hadn't or not. So it was probably something that A did, but I like that we didn't really know what happened there. So Aria stupidly suggested that they split up just as Toby and Detective Tanner came upon Hanna and Caleb at the storage facility. Such an awesome scene. They're walking there, and there's Detective Tanner and Toby. That was awesome. Caleb attempted to lie, but Detective Tanner wasn't really buying the story. She doesn't want to believe a word he's saying. And even called Hanna out for seeming nervous, and Toby obviously tried to keep his cool. He doesn't want anything bad to happen to Hanna, especially as Tanner saw this camera system had been tampered with, and then that the unit that they were seeking had no surprise to viewers had already been broken to. That's huge that happened, and obviously they're not happy about this at all. So Spencer's shocked to hear Hanna and Caleb's voice as she explored, ultimately discovering Mona's laptop showing footage of the couples discussing their plans before they went to the storage unit, and Aria then realizes that somebody knows they're there, and it's not Hanna and Caleb. They don't realize that Detective Tanner and Holbrooke are there, and just they're about to leave, Spencer and Aria found themselves locked in one of the facility's units, and liquid nitrogen poured in. This was just... This legitimately was very creepy. This scene was extremely creepy and extremely thrilling. Honestly, probably the highlight of the episode was this scene, because this liquid nitrogen could freeze them to death. And Emily luckily comes upon them, frantically tries to rescue her pals, nearly, she's trying to rescue her friends, nearly getting electrocuted. She attempted to break the power system. She watched in panic as the door began to freeze, before finally breaking the lock and setting the girls free. So, that was good of her, but at the same time, even though that was good for her to do, they almost froze death, so that obviously was not good. So Tanner sent Toby to call a hazmat team before she opened the barrel without him, showing a look of dismay as she peered inside, and then found blood drops nearby. And of course, that made us wait to find out what was in the bin, and we don't know what's in the bin. So, whatever. I don't like it when they do that to us, but whatever. It's a cool thing that we don't know what's in the bin, but we're gonna find out soon. So then we see Ashley thanking Jason for helping her with her belongings, and he admitted that it won't be easy continuing to work with his father in the family business. And she told him that, I love the line she says to him: you can move forward if you're stuck in the past, because it's true. You can always move forward. Don't stay in the past. Move forward with it. Try to move on with your life. And I like her saying that, because he really has been. Think of all the characters now. All the characters right now are kind of stuck in the past, because they're thinking of Allie's past actions, and Allie's not really like that anymore, which we did see in, not a scene tonight, but a clip for a redo that they're doing with Allie, which I definitely feel like is showing Allie that, that Allie is innocent. And they share a hug, and that turns into a kiss, and she says that this can happen again, and she basically calls off their relationship. And, you gotta feel bad for him, but at the same time, it had to happen. It had to happen, because honestly, I don't want Ashley and Jason. I think Ted is the perfect guy for Ashley. Like, he's such a nice guy. He hasn't done anything, like, wrong or anything. And honestly, even though Ashley's done so many bad things, he's good for her, because he can help her cleanse herself and get over that. And I think he's perfect for her because of that. But I think that Ashley just doesn't feel like she deserves him. You can just tell that she doesn't really feel like she deserves the guy. So Emily returns to the brew, where Talia suggests that she cook to distract herself, and this does not last long, because Emily gets a text that leads her to nearly spark a kitchen fire. Like, she literally almost makes a fire. And Ezra was none the wiser as he was with Aria. He gave her a gift to celebrate her Talmud mission, then told her that he didn't want her to miss out on college adventures the way she did in high school due to him. And she insisted that she wrote that in the essay, but she didn't truly feel that way. And he thought the opposite, that she couldn't have written it if a part of her didn't believe it. And worried that she would come to resent him if they stayed together. And I like that Ezra did that, because honestly, it's good for him to do that. Because couples in high school, they're not going to stay together, especially someone like Ezra and Aria. They're not going to stay together, because she's going to find someone in college. And I like seeing that, because he's realizing, okay, she's going to college, and I'm just going to stay in my home and be an adult, and she's turning into an adult, and maybe they'll have something in the future, but right now she's going off to college, and she's probably going to meet some guy, and she's not really going to see him. So I like that he doesn't really want to try the long distance thing, because those never work out, and I like that he's trying to tell her, let's just end it. I think that's good for him. But Aria is obviously pretty shocked by this. She never agreed to this. She never even thought of this happening. So she really does not know what to do there. She doesn't know if they should do this, and I really do feel bad for them, definitely. I feel very bad for the position, for where they are right now, and it's going to be interesting to see definitely what ends up happening there. So I really hope that, he tells her to at least think about it, but I don't really know if she's going to agree to it. I definitely feel like she should, though, because he does have a lot of points there. We just don't know if she's going to agree to it, but I feel like she should, because why not have the relationship be in a bad place versus a good place? The relationship could end up terribly if they stay together. It really could. And rather than resenting each other, let's just, why not just put it on hold? I think that's a good idea, what he's saying to her. And I definitely want to see that come back into play, because I really like that. So Hanna confronts Spencer about telling Toby about the storage unit, believing that was the reason Tanner showed up. And Spencer swore that she didn't. And Hanna was convinced, though, and started questioning Toby's allegiance. And Spencer shot back, then Hanna made things worse all on her own. She's saying she screwed herself in there and screwed Caleb over. And, at the police precinct, Tanner said she didn't know yet if the remains she apparently found and the blood belonged to Hanna. But if they did, she told Toby that they will be the first people that she calls in for questioning. And she reminded him of his officer's oath and demanded to know if there was anything he hadn't told her. And I think that's going to be really big because there's clearly something that he doesn't know. He's probably going to tell her what exactly is going on, why exactly they were there, and that's going to be very interesting to see if he does tell her what's going on because he told Spencer specifically not to get involved, and he definitely needs to tell her what's going on there. So Emily on the phone with Hanna questioned whether Holbrooke was truly involved, not believing he would go as far as killing for Allie. And she was interrupted by Talia, who attempted to comfort Emily. And Emily apologized for being such a mess and sort of bitchy. And Talia admitted her comments have been Ezra. We're all to see where Emily stood in the spectrum because she's into her. Boom. I called it. I was calling it. I called it and they confirmed it. She's into her. She's a lesbian and she likes her. So I don't know if Emily's going to do this, but honestly, I feel she should move on. I really do. I think her and Paige, they had their thing. But again, London's relationships do not work, and Emily needs to get over Paige and go to Talia. However, Talia seems kind of too into her. She seems too nice, definitely. I don't know what it is about Talia, but for me, she just seems too nice. I really do feel like she does. And I don't know if she's A, but I just feel like she seems too nice. So this is one of those shows where you really don't know who to trust, and you can't trust anyone really on this show, and I like that because it makes us more suspicious of every single character, and you just don't know who you should trust, and I think Talia is one of those people that you don't know who to trust. So, basically after this, Hanna and Caleb worry that Holbrooke set them up with the storage unit, and she was worried that thanks to their actions that they would drag Caleb down with her, and basically she told Caleb that he should just stay away from her while, for a while. And Caleb's freaking out. He's saying, don't you get it? I'm dangerous. And Caleb refused to abandon her because, I like seeing Hanna realize that, yeah, there are things going on that could really hurt Caleb. And Caleb could, they broke the law. They did something illegal tonight. So I like seeing that Hannah's telling him stay away from me, but Caleb doesn't want to. But I think that Caleb's going to end up having to stay away from her because she's in this position right now that things could end up very bad for both of them. Really, it could. It could put them both in jail, and Caleb needs to realize that. And I gotta say, this is ending pretty dark because Aria flips through her yearbook while everyone seemed to have activities listed but her. So that's really weird. There's nothing listed for activities. There's nothing she was involved in. There's nothing she was doing. And I think that's because she's realizing that she spent too much time with Ezra and the A and everything. She had no after-school activities. She did nothing after school. And I think she's realizing, wow, I really wasted my high school career. And it's going to be interesting to see where that goes as well. Aria's Ashley is contemplating her romantic situation. We see her put the ring on and then take it off. So she's really kind of not really knowing what to do with herself because on one hand, she does want to marry Ted, but on the other hand, she doesn't want to upset Jason. So she really does not know what to do. And I like seeing Ashley in this position because she doesn't really know, should I marry Ted? Should I be with Jason? She doesn't know. So Toby called Spencer and revealed that Tanner had received an anonymous call that Mona's body was in the storage unit, but when she asked what was found in the barrel, he refused to tell her. So when she cried and asked him to come over for work, he made excuses, hung up on her. This led to sobs and nose to her. Toby took off from the precinct. The show then cut to a hooded figure discovering fingerprints, and that's it. So Toby and Spencer's relationship, as I said, is falling apart. It seems like everyone on this show is falling apart, minus Emily. And I gotta say, this is shaping up to be probably the most emotional season of the show because Caleb and Hanna are in a very bad position where I don't think they should stay together. Aria and Ezra, I like what Ezra's saying to Aria where, she's kind of wasted his whole life with him and she needs to move on from him because if she doesn't, they're going to resent each other. And I understand why he's telling her, stay away from me. I understand that. He's not trying to be rude or anything. He's just telling her straight out, let's not do this. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's make sure that we don't hate each other. Let's try to be in a good place with each other, which I like seeing because it's better for them to be in a good place with each other versus them trying to, not hate each other. It's better than that. I think that's good that he wants to do that. Now, as far as Aria and no after school activities, I definitely feel like she's going to feel like she's wasted her whole high school career. I won't be surprised if she talks to, Hanna and Spencer, because some of them were involved in the choir, if you remember. I mean, there was that episode where Mona had auditioned for the choir and so did Hanna. So I would not be surprised if Aria confronts one of them and says, I've wasted my entire high school career, because they kind of all have. I mean, they've spent their whole high school focused on A. They haven't really gotten to do anything in their lives, and I like this episode touched upon that. I also love seeing the conflict with Spencer and Toby. Toby is becoming a workaholic. He's not really talking to Spencer. One, because he doesn't want her involved. Two, because he's so focused on this case and wants to make sure that, he wants to make sure that Allie's not a suspect, but he doesn't want to say that to Spencer because they don't think that's possible right now. However, I think Toby does think that's a possibility, and I think that's a possibility. I personally think that Toby is completely correct when he says that Allie is not A, because there's a couple things that made me think that. First of all, we got a little thing tonight on, as I said, Project Almanac. It was they keep showing these things with Project Almanac where they show PLL redos, and there's a clip of Allie being really bitchy to Mona, but she said she wanted to redo that, and now I feel like that's trying to just show us that Allie can be trusted. Now, we haven't seen Allie for a while, but I definitely feel like we're not going to see her till the finale. I feel like they're going to do that to us again because it's cool to see it this time. I mean, last year it didn't work, but this year it's cool to see because it's making us think, okay, she is definitely the one that should be trusted. Now, Emily and Talia. I want to talk about Talia. Talia, I don't think she's A. I don't think she's A. I definitely don't think that. But I don't trust her, and I don't know why. I think she's just too perfect. When there's just a character that's too nice and too perfect, and there's too much about them that is just, it seems too... Now, you guys can say, oh, Ted's too perfect. No, it's not Ted. Why would Ted do something like this? Ted went away, and now it's proposing to Ashley. Ashley, definitely, she needs Ted. Ted is good for her. I think that Ted would really benefit her in their relationship, and she needs to understand that. I know that she thinks that she's a terrible person, but she's really not a terrible person. She just thinks she is. She thinks she's a terrible person because she's done bad things in her life, but she's really not a bad person. She's a good person who has made some bad mistakes, but I think Ted can help her with that, and I think Ted is good for her because of that. I think he's really going to help her out if she thinks about it. I know she thinks that she's not in a good position right now, but I think that he could really help her out. And I guess the only other thing I want to talk about is Hanna and Caleb. Now, I really want to talk about where their relationship is going. Hanna, I think, could definitely end up in jail. Definitely. I would not be surprised if by the end of the season Hannah's in jail. But Caleb, I do think he needs to stay away from her. I do, because what he's doing is very dangerous. What they're doing is very dangerous. They could get arrested. Hanna could end up going to jail because anything she does now is going to increase Detective Tanner's suspicions. Because I'm pretty sure Detective Tanner thinks that Hanna is the one that did this. I definitely feel like at some point they are going to think that Hanna is the one that killed, is the one that killed Mona. Do I think that Hanna could have killed Mona? I don't know. But I've always had this weird theory that one of the girls could be A. I always have, and if they do a twist where Hanna killed Mona, I think that could be probably the best twist the show has ever done, because, think about it, Hanna was so upset about Mona, and she seemed so upset, and she seemed the most upset over everyone, so it could definitely make sense if Hanna killed Mona, because she doesn't want anyone to think that she did it. I don't know, I've always sort of thought that one of the girls is A. I always thought possibly Spencer, but if they do Hanna, that could be very interesting, but I don't think that's where they're going. I'm not sure. You never really know on this show. As I said, you really can't trust anyone, and you never really know if what everyone is saying is true, so you never really know, and I'm not really sure if that is true, but what I'm thinking is it could definitely be a possibility, and I'm definitely interested in seeing if they go further into that, because I definitely want to see, if that really is true, because that's going to be interesting to, really, really see what's going on there. And that's basically all I really have to say about this episode. Overall, guys, I loved this episode. I thought this was by far probably the best episode of the season, because it increased my suspicions and made me more interested in the show. And also Holbrooke. I want to talk about Holbrooke. Do I think that Holbrooke is A? No, I don't think Holbrooke is A. I think that Holbrooke framed Allie, but he's not A. I think here's what's going on with A. A is having someone work for them, and the person that's working for them is framing the girls. The first target, Allie, done. Next target, Hanna, done. Next target's going to be Spencer. Next target's going to be Emily. Next target's going to be Art. That's how it's going to be. So on and so forth. That's how it's going to be. So I really feel like that's what's going on there. I'm not sure, but it's a weird theory, but I definitely feel like it could be a possibility. You know, I definitely feel like that's what's going on there. But I don't know, guys. That's basically my review. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys saw this episode, and I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for tonight's episode of Justified, which I can't wait for. And we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.